Okay, so I just wanted to do a quick screen recording to go over the things we talked about today. A lot was said during our staff meeting, and I just want to make sure everybody knows a little bit about iStation, some things that I know about it, so that hopefully that will help you when you drill down a little bit into your students' data. So I know M-Class and iStation are very, very different. However, they do have some similarities as far as what we can get from each assessment that the students take. So if I think back at our M-Class data, we had the composite score, which was that dot up at the top. It was red, yellow, green, or blue. That was for the DIBELS components, so how well they understood their phonics, fluency, and all of that. Then we had their text reading comprehension level, which was the letter, and it was also colored based on their level. iStation does have something similar. It does color code the results for us. And just like in M-Class, if we see their composite score is a red or a yellow, that doesn't mean every component in the DIBELS they struggled with. They may have only struggled with one area or two. So we drill down and we see. We can do the exact same thing with iStation. I'm going to walk you through that right now. So when you go in, I'll go to iStation. You're going to go into Educators. I'm going to go and use two different classrooms. I'm going to use a kindergarten classroom, and then I'll go to a third grade classroom, just so I can show you a variety of different things that you could see. So kinder and first, you can look kind of similar, and second and third, you guys can look a little similar as well. When you log in, you see this. I've seen most of you use the classroom tab. I'm going to also show you the report tab that you can find this one specific report that I talked about during the staff meeting, how you can assess that in both of these tabs. But if you go to classroom, for example, I'll start off with a third grade class. Here, when you click on your classroom tab, you can see your students and you can see the progress in which they have done your ISIP. Here I can see for the month of September, if I was teacher number 31, I would be able to see that all but 2 of my students have completed this month's assessment. And so I would know why. This is just the first week, so definitely, I could have them whenever they log on. They will have that the first thing when they log on, just as the other students did. I can definitely see that some of my students are green, and I would, as a teacher, just because you have 16 to 18 students, I would drill down to each student and see their strengths, look at their trend lines. Today I'm just going to show you, just go into maybe like a red and a yellow for each student. Here I'm going to look at my yellow student, so I'm going to click on this child. When I see that, you have 2 tabs. You can go between reading and math. Again, this is their overall ISIP score. The chart that I'm going to show you in just a little while, it's also been on, I believe, our SMORE. It's also been on several emails from Gemma. This is the total, and we have a chart that kind of displays where they would be, where they fall in proficiency for grade 3, 2, 1, and kindergarten. What I would like to do for this specific student, like I said, is drill down a little bit. So I go down to related reports, and the very first one is that summary handout report that I talked about during the staff meeting, where it's going to break down the overall, and then it's going to give me each component that third grade does. And every grade level is going to look a little bit different just because you do different components. But it gives you a nice graph, and it also plots each time they take the assessment, so you can really look at the trend lines. This is the summary handout report that we have used for many years in MTSS to see if iStation has been an effective and appropriate intervention for the child, because obviously if the trend lines go down, it's not helpful for them, or maybe that's just an area of weakness that we need to really focus some other interventions on. So click on Summary Report. Here I have all of the student's information that he's taken the past 2 times that this assessment has been given. The first graph indicates the overall reading, and I can see that his trend did go up. I can see that he went from a tier 3 to a tier 2 overall. He is on that borderline, but I can definitely see some progress. The text fluency is a dramatic decrease. So a couple of things I might want to check out here is, think back. Did the student, was he zoned out at all? Did I have to redirect him? Did something happen to his computer? Did he fall asleep or did he get sick? Just basically scoring a 0 is pretty eye-opening for me as a teacher. So I would want to dig and just figure out why on that specific component, because that was definitely a decrease and very definitely something that's coming to my attention. Comprehension also declined, still in the red, but it did go from up here close to 200 down to 206. For vocabulary, this looks like a strength for this child, and that's something that I would definitely want to enhance. Maybe it's something that the child's really gravitating to during my word work activities. Maybe it could be the nonfiction books that we're reading about, and I think this is, he is really interested in a particular genre that we've been doing, and so I can definitely see that he started this out as a strength, but he's really progressed well. So vocabulary is something that I need to build upon and use, hopefully, with some of these other areas that he's struggling in. Overall spelling definitely also improved. He went from, just like his overall, from a tier 3 to right at that tier 2 borderline. So here I just have some really great information. As a third grade, I'm also looking at the Lexile number, which is indicated right here. Again, right now we're kind of looking at that 500 range for right now at the middle of first quarter, and kind of see where they fall with that. Some other things that I want to show you is down at the very bottom, you have a legend. This does go in detail with your different components that you have, but you have the triangle with some difficulty. I know that text fluency is showing that for September. If it's ongoing, it has the circle behind it like he did for spelling. If it's something new that he's struggling with as a specific skill like in spelling, he did improve upon that. So again, I'm digging down a little bit and seeing, well, he is improving. So obviously this vocabulary word workstation, I need to continue to enhance that with him, make sure that it's differentiated, make sure that it's his really a strength, because he's definitely showing lots of growth in those areas. And then if there is a box with the X, this is something that he's continuing to really struggle on, and that's that text fluency and comprehension that we talked about. So I really want to figure out what's going on there. If I look up to the top here, I can see that the student is on cycle 5. Now, regardless whether this is third grade, second, first, or kindergarten, it's going to tell me what cycle this is on, or what cycle the student is on. So to be pretty helpful for me, if I look right here, still within this student summary handout, I can see the cycle descriptions. So my student right here in this third grade class is cycle 5. I click on that and I scroll down, and again, this is for any student. So whether it's cycle 0 or like this specific student is cycle 5, it's showing you what they're working on within this cycle. Now, like I told you, this was a third grade student. So if I'm looking up at the top at the phonics portion, I am pretty confident that the letters, the symbols, the blends, different vowel patterns and sounds, maybe the high frequency words, this is not an issue. This is not an issue with this student. Vocabulary, knowing that his vocabulary is high, this is not a problem as well. However, read with meaning, and then these different components within reading comprehension, maybe the cause and effect, story structure, setting, characters, and sequence, this is possibly where the student is showing some difficulty. So when I'm in my guided reading, I'm really going to be focusing on that. I'm also going to be making sure when I conference with him that we were reviewing that as far as the oral comprehension, or him working with that to enhance that and to see if that could be a possible intervention for him. So that's really cool that you can see what cycle they're on and the things that are embedded within each cycle. Again, that was where I went right here to cycle description. Okay. If I wanted to see as well, let's see, if I wanted to look at vocabulary for September, this student scored a 256 in vocabulary. If I go to Toolbox and the instructional tier goals, this is the chart that you have seen in emails before. It's also been on a slideshow or two. These are the different components. So if I look at vocabulary, I click on that. So these are interactive. And I look at grade 3. The student that I was just working on was at 230. It's 230 something, I believe. So he would be in tier 2 or tier 1. And you can toggle back and forth between each component that they take. Again, not all of them are going to be for each grade level, as kindergarten first grade only does phonemic awareness, for instance. Vocabulary is for everyone. Spelling would just be first through third. The overall is what you get for your ISIP, and this has been shared multiple times that you can see for all grade levels. Again, that was Toolbox, instructional tiers. All right, so again, you can kind of see different things that they're on, if they've completed it, how long they've been on it. If I go to another student, or another class, I'm going to go to, let's go to a kindergarten class, excuse me. Okay. Yep, this is a kindergarten class. All right, so I can see that most students, again, all but one here, has completed their September ISIP. I know this student right here, whenever he logs in this week, whenever they come back from school or whenever he goes to that station, I know that as soon as he logs on, he is going to have his ISIP to complete first. So that's something that you can think about, or you can talk to the children about as you're looking on this. Here I can see that I have some yellow, one yellow it looks like, and one red. I have lots of green. Again, I would click on every child just to dig in a little bit to see what are their strengths and weaknesses. Here I'm going to pick on the student that's red, and I'm going to click on them. Again, this is a kindergarten class, but I'm still going to look at some of the same components and dig deeper. Still going to look at that same student summary handout that's right underneath the related reports. And again, it looks very similar to what we talked about in the third grade, except for these are going to have the components for the kindergarten. And it's still great to see the trend lines, and it's still great to see any areas of strengths or weaknesses that the student may have. It also, again, like I said, has the cycle that they're working on here. So I can go up and I can see what is embedded within that cycle to see if something I need to maybe emphasize on during my guided reading or my conferences. Overall, this student has improved from a tier 3 to a tier 2. And this is a kindergarten student. So, just one simple month has really showed a lot of growth in all areas that you'll see except for one. And not only is this child having to use this computer, this device to do something that is really, far beyond what we thought they would be doing in kindergarten, they're also acclimating to having to sit and listen, having to walk in line, be without their mom and dad. So take all of those things into perspective whenever you're looking through your child's data, because just this right here does not dictate what they make on either interim reports or report cards. This is one piece of data. I'm going to also look at their products that they've done. I'm going to look at my notes and my observations, any progress monitoring that I may have done, or little assessments that I've done with them, CFAs or quick checks, cluster checks, things like that. So make sure you're looking at all of the different areas for your academics. Here I can see, like I said, they did improve. For listening comprehension, this was a strength for this child, and it continued to be so. So I would really want to utilize that. Letter knowledge has declined. So, I need to figure out, does it have anything to do with Letterland? I might want to dig deeper to see, are they struggling with, switching from the Letterland name to what it actually looks like? I need to dig deeper and see how they're doing with their Letterland word work. The phonemic awareness really improved, even though we're still in the yellow here. Look at that dramatic increase. And as well for vocabulary. So here it's really looking like the child is doing well with being exposed to the instruction and is really improving in almost all areas. Even though they were red, look at all these wonderful things that we're seeing and all this growth that we're seeing. So it was definitely worth me doing that. If I scroll down again, I'm going to see some things. This is priority report review, and this is a little bit different from the student before in third grade. So this is why I wanted to kind of show you, because you might have some different things to come up. Here it's going to show the different components, and again, it's the same legend, so you're going to have some difficulty, ongoing, struggling, and ongoing struggles. But one thing that was pretty interesting right here is excessive logouts and idle time, and that was some difficulty. So that's a conversation that I'm going to have, and I don't. That's very expecting to have our kindergartners and actually all of our babies to have an issue with this. This could definitely happen in any classroom in our building, just because it is new. This is something that is new to all of us. It's new to our kids too. So just monitoring that and maybe having some discussions with them, or just seeing what's going on would be a conversation worth having. All right, the last thing I wanted to show you is how to go to this summary report for all of your students. You can get to it by your classroom, like we talked about before, where you click on a child and then you click on it down at the bottom. But you can also go to report, and there is a variety of different reports that you can print out. And again, we've used this for several years in third grade. So different reports have different meanings. As you can see, it has different things. The one I have used most often and I've used for years in third grade was the student summary handout. That's the one we talked about before. If you click on that, then it just becomes a little bit bigger over here on the right side. And then you're going to customize it. So this pops up and you're going to find out what your number was. I believe my number was 5 as I was a kindergarten teacher. Now what you can do is you can select all of your students and it would run a report and do a PDF version for all of your kids. Or you can just do, if you're having a meeting or you're having an MTSS presentation for that child, you can click on them and it will run the report, and you can print it or you can send it however you want to. But there you go. I hope this helped you. I know that some questions came up about progress reports. This did come out about interims. It says K2 interims, but it goes for third grade as well, as far as what to use for that read to achieve section. You're not thinking you have a lot of data points right now. This is the very first time they've been in your grade level all year, so it's only 4.5 weeks. And thank goodness most of this 4.5 weeks you guys have been testing, because when we did have M class, that 4.5 weeks, yes, we had the M class assessment to tell us what composite they were or what text reading level they were, but you have not been doing a lot of instruction. Now, in 2019-20 school year, you guys have done weeks more of instruction than you have in the past. So just for that reading and read to achieve section, it says use the iStation ISIP data. So now we have 2 of those. We have the September and we have the August reports. And again, you can drill down just like I showed you, and you can see how much they've improved, or maybe the area or component that they were really struggling in. You have your guided reading notes. You have your beginning of the year assessments, CFAs, quick checks, and cluster checks for math and classroom data. So, and obviously your child too. Each individual student that's in your classroom. So please look at all of your data when you are going through your progress monitoring, your progress report, so that you can just give parents a progress report. That's all it is. Just let them know how their child's doing. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. You can ask me. You can ask Dr. LaRusso. Jenna is willing to help as well. But I hope this will give you guys a reference to go back and see how you can pull and dig deep into that data, just like we did for M-Class, because it's so important to see the whole area as to just one little number. We really want to see all the different components as to what the child is good at and maybe some deficits that they may have. Thanks, guys.